that they had done that, as a first-party thing.
Right.
One of the other things that I think, I guess it's not about AIM, but about Gaim and Pidgin that I'd like to say too is something I found notable with the project, or with the application rather, was plugins. That's come up a few times already. Gary with the GUIfication, toaster pop-up, sorry, GUIfications, I guess it was plural.
Whatever. I picked a really bad name that I made up a word that nobody can pronounce, so it's fine.
But where else have you seen? Think of your application, regardless of what OS. I mean, everything these days, from your phones to general purpose computing, PCs, Mac, Windows, Linux, like all the applications you run. How many of them have a plugin system that's anywhere near as serious as Gaim and Pidgin? I can only think of web browsers. Like, it's really web browsers and Gaim and Pidgin that had serious plugin architectures. And I'm sure I'm missing this or that or the other thing, but it was just so integral that you could touch all kinds of different stuff, in Gaim and Pidgin.
Yeah, and technically Adium had it too, but I don't think the Adium plugin system could let things do as much at the protocol level as ours could.
And not even just the protocol level, right? Just, integrating into the application and doing things to buddies and adding actions and, there's a lot of stuff. And that,
I don't think Adium's was as capable in that regard because they had designed it so that libGaim and libpurple were behind so many layers of abstraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they also probably didn't allow everybody to read and set values in their structs, but just wide open public pointers being passed, or struct pointers being passed around. One of the other things I want to say with the plugins though too is just to say it for completion, or to be complete, because other people are going to, is Vim and Emacs are definitely along the lines of, oh my god, plugins. But yeah, so the plugin thing is interesting too. I think everybody except Sean knows that for Purple 3, I actually took the plugins out of... Well, this wasn't the intention. I wrote a plugin library called gplugin, and the intent was always to maybe get it ported to Pidgin. But now for Pidgin 3, it's actually in there. But the whole point of the library is just to give you plugins that you can easily pull into another application. But there's another library out there for GNOME called libps, which does a similar thing, but their entire thing is based off of extension points. And to Richard's point, we just kind of gave you the API in Pidgin, and it's just this is the normal C API. You can do whatever we could do in the code. So trying to litter that with extension points or something was just yeah, this is a no-go for us. I'm sitting there as I'm working on this thing going, so how would I do what this, and this plugin does with extension points? I'm just this is not good. So
I was just counting in the other window. I have, I think 12, it looks like 10 to 12 plugins that are enabled, and probably 8 of those I care seriously about. They significantly enhance the application in some way for me. One of them is like a private plugin that if a coworker mentions a string of integers, it links to our, well, if anybody, but when my coworkers mention a string of integers, it links that to our internal ticket tracking system. So I can just click on that and go right there. That thing's I don't know, 5 lines of Perl or something, not counting boilerplate, but it's something that, improves my experience with the application. And it's really nice that, we have that ability, and I think it has also affected the culture, if you will, around the application.
Do Perl scripts actually still exist?
In Pidgin 2, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's Perl.
For Pidgin 3, gplugin needs to get the Perl loader finished. I kind of have it working, but Perl embed just breaks my brain.
Yeah, Perl embed it's complicated. One of the other things I have an interest in is a piece of software called MIME-Defang, which we use at work, and that it embeds a Perl interpreter as a milter for formerly SendMail, but also integrates with postfix. And yeah, from there I'm familiar that Perl embedding can be quite a pain. I mean, for the applications that are served, maybe we could just do Python or something instead. I know there's language wars and all that, but there's other ways to accomplish it. It doesn't have to be Perl in particular. But the point is, I wrote a simple plugin that I've got the code here. It's like it's running a regex, and on the writing message hook. That's all the thing is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's funny you mentioned the like language wars and that kind of stuff, because like one of the things that I try to do with gplugin as well is, like I noticed like the languages we supported weren't like being taught in most schools. So it's like one of the ideas for it was that like Pidgin or just a plugin library should allow anybody that knows any language to be able to write a plugin for your application. Like maybe not any language, but like that's why gplugin supports Lua. It supports Python. I'm trying to get Perl support in there. I've tinkered with getting Ruby support in there. I almost have Mono in there, except the way their stuff works is annoying. But the scariest one of all is I almost have the JVM working. So like you could write a plugin in Clojure that could talk to Pidgin. And that's just absolutely crazy. But it'll, like, if I can get the JVM in, it'll work, and I'm almost there. I haven't touched it in like 2 years, but yeah. But that's the whole thing where it's like the language they shouldn't matter. Just, a programming language, sweet, there you go. Because of gplugin and gobject introspection, you can just write a plugin for Pidgin, and you're done. So, yeah.